Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of An Ecologist Plays. I am finally back, and we are starting a new series today. We are starting with Ancestors, the Humankind Odyssey. Now, this game is very different from the ones that we've played thus far, mainly because we are not looking at animals that exist anymore. We are now looking at animals that used to exist and the ecosystems that used to exist, although the ecosystems in this game very similar to the ones that we can still see on Earth. But let's jump into it and let's have a look at what this game entails. So, first of all, we are going to start a new lineage, and we are going to call it Homo Naturae, basically meaning the man of nature. And we are going to have that. Let's make it a custom game. We are going to start in the normal place where everybody starts. We're going to start with a full clan, just so that we don't have to worry too much about things at the start. And we're going to start with the mystery species at the start of the game. So this one is a theoretical ancestor. It's not one that we have fossils for. Let's call it a theoretical missing link in the ancestry of the hominids. So let's just jump right in and see what this game entails. We're starting, as you can see here, with a whole bunch of hominids. So these are human-like apes, and we are starting in a little secluded valley. Okay, so let's have a look around at what we can see. So this is the area that we currently are in, which is very, very nice. It's got water, it's got food, it's got everything. But at this point, things are still very much unknown to this ape that we've got here. So at the bottom right corner, we can see the number of individuals. The orange dots at the bottom there, those are the number of babies that we've got. On the left-hand side, those 4 dots are then the adults, and the 4 dots at the top would be the elders. So these are the old ones, which are not afraid of anything, but they also can't reproduce. So let me just quickly have a look around. So here, just looking around, we can see there are some young ones over there, some adults over there, and some adults and elders scattered all over the place. Okay, great. So we've got an entire tribe here. Now, the first thing we are going to do is we're going to pick up 2 of the babies, because whenever you actually have babies on you, this is a way that we progress the game. We learn things. So, of course, we as the hominid here are picking up this horsetail over here, but it's unknown to this individual. So he goes, "Ooh, what is this?" We inspect it, and we now have learned that that is potential food. At the same time, the bottom right corner, and you'll see again now when we eat it, we are getting these little white flashes. That just means that our brain is developing. Our neural pathways, there we go, it just happened. Neural pathways are developing. That's basically the skill points that we get to spend as our hominids evolve, as our hominids go through time. So we are starting 10 million years ago in Africa, which is brilliant. We are starting in my home continent. And we are going to hopefully end up at 2 million years ago. So that's going to be quite a long time, but we're not going to take 8 million years to play this. We are obviously going to progress through the ages quite quickly. Now, we only have 5 adults, which means we are still short 1 adult. At the moment, we have 3 males and only 2 females in the tribe, in the group. So let's have a look if we can find another female up in the tree somewhere. Okay, so the way the communication works, or the senses work, you can just press E to just use sight, and that way you can look at things around and we can see, oh, that's something we don't know yet. Or you can use smell, where you can just click and then you find out, oh, that's something I haven't smelled before. Or you can right click to use sound and see if you can hear anything. Now, animals will make sounds and smells, and then fruit or food will have smells, and then other useful resources will have the sight that you can use. Now, I can't see, or I can't hear any other hominids up in the trees. Just going to have a look around, and I'll be back with you in a moment. Okay, and we are back. Unfortunately, it seems I can't find any females up in the trees or any stragglers up there. So we are just going to carry on with our 5 adults. I have switched over to the male that doesn't have a partner, and we're just going to be running around as him as well. We also have the other one that I was playing as, and it's quite easy. You can actually switch quite easily between individuals, which is quite nice. If you see one of your adults has an injury, you can switch over to them and you can go and try and heal them. Okay, so we are going to just carry on with the game, and then hopefully we will encounter something or a female a little bit later. So at the start of the game, everything is pretty much new. And that's why we are carrying around the babies, and we've got 4 babies with us so that we can have more neuronal energy developing as a result of it. So basically, babies learn by watching the adults do things. So as we now inspect this berry over here, then the babies also realize, oh, this is something we can eat. And it's shown by those little flashes on the right-hand side. This is Tami berry, also known as miracle berry, Syncephalum dulcificum, which is quite an amazing and weird plant. And it still exists. It's a plant that does exist in West Africa, I do believe, and also in a few other places around the world. It is cultivated in some areas as well. Now, Syncephalum here, the Tami berry, the reason it's called the miracle berry, and we can also just use our senses to inspect the food here to see whether we can or shouldn't eat it. Oh, this one apparently isn't very nice. It's not ripe or it's overripe, but we're going to eat it in any case and not suffer any consequences there. That's nice. The reason it's called the miracle berry is because if you eat it, anything you eat after that is actually sweet. And even if it is a bitter food, it will taste very sweet. So it's quite amazing the way it works. And that is that it's got a compound known as miraculin, as far as I recall, that binds to your taste receptors. And under normal conditions, I do believe that means you can't taste anything at all. But if you have an acidic pH in your mouth, basically what will happen if you eat something bitter or sour, then it actually binds to certain other compounds, allowing you to taste sweet. So basically, the food you eat then tastes sweet, which is why bitter food then normally tastes sweet, which is quite an amazing thing that happens. Now, there is another plant in South Africa, and I'm not sure whether it works in the same way, but it is known as soetgaap, meaning a sweet gaap. And the gaap is a type of succulent plant that we have in South Africa, that succulent, and the Bushmen used to eat the bitter gaap as an appetite suppressor when they went out hunting. Okay, guys, this little monkey here is learning to recognize, or this little hominid here is recognizing a branch. It's like, wow, dead branch, that is amazing. And we're just going to throw it on the ground, because why not? But in any case, bitter gaap actually works quite nice also as an appetite suppressor, and the soetgaap, the sweet gaap, actually, from what I remember and what people who have used it before told me as well, is if you actually go and eat that and then smoke a pipe, the pipe also tastes extremely sweet, which is basically, I think it functions in the same way as this miracle berry actually does. So so here we've got Natal grass cycad, which is quite a weird plant. It is the only plant in its entire genus. It's the only plant or only species in the Stangeria genus, and it's found only in South Africa. Now, of course, it is likely that it would have occurred more widely in the past, and that Natal grass cycad that we still have, the Stangeria areopus, is just the last remnant of a species that used to, or group of species that used to be quite common. But we can, in any case, use the Natal grass cycad here to build a little place to sleep, a little sleeping spot. Now, these sleeping spots are not just for sleeping, they are extremely important, and you'll see why now. So basically, if we decide to lie down and we go into this evolution section here, this is basically the skill tree of the game, which I think is quite amazing. So in the center here, we've got the neuronal energy. So this is basically our skill points. The fuller it is, the further away we can progress. And this is basically a brain map that we've got over here. So literally this whole area we can fill out eventually with skills that we learn. Some of them are quite basic. For example, over here, perception. Well, we can hear and smell things from further away. That's a useful thing to have. And as we now progress and do this more often, so we, for example, here, we're not sure what it is, but basically it would most likely be by looking at things a lot of times or by smelling things a lot of time, this pathway here will strengthen and we can then unlock that ability over there. Same here with the motor skills, the ability to switch hands with an item is acquired. This is a game changer because now it means we can alter things. We can do more things. We also have over here, I think this is communication. This is basically getting people to follow us or getting hominids to follow us, intimidating predators, all those types of things. Whereas on the right hand side, intelligence here, and also food, the ability to digest certain food is based on this skill tree at the bottom here. So it's actually quite an intricate little skill tree, and we'll look at it as we carry along or go along. But the ability to switch hands is now really, as I said, a game changer, because what it allows us now to do is to look at this piece of, or this rock here, and realize that it is in fact something we can use. This is obsidian, and we collect another piece of obsidian, and now we can mash them together to make a stone tool. And the way we do it in the game is relatively simple. We're waiting for the cues on the basically the sound that we can hear and the little light green flashes that we can get. And we try to time it perfectly. If we wait too long, we break the stone. Now, of course, it's not really how you would make something like this. It's really more intricate, and it's highly unlikely that the hominids over here would have been able to mash stones together to make stone tools like this. This is a much more recent development, but of course they needed some way for us to actually use some tools. Otherwise it would be a relatively boring survival game potentially, but it would have been more scientifically accurate. But now that we've got that scraper over there, or we can also use a basalt chopper, we can now take the stick and bash it with a rock to... Now we can take this dead branch that we've now modified, and we can look at it and we can realize, oh, this is something else. Look at it, it's something amazing. It is now a stick. So lignum being stick in Latin. So in the game here they did use quite a lot of Latin, which is quite awesome. Unfortunately, the Latin isn't really very accurate Latin, and you'll see what I mean later on as I point some things out. But okay, so here we've got now a sharp stick, which is now the best tool that we're ever going to develop in this game. This is the best weapon we can have, a sharp stick, which is, I think, is awesome. We can't use fire to our advantage because in this period that we are playing, the 10 million to 2 million years ago period, we didn't have fire and didn't develop fire at that point in time, and we didn't have any things like bows or anything like that. So sticks, basically, that would be the best thing to use. Now we can get all our hominids here to also pick up branches and use that just to wave it around at the predators that they may encounter. But for now, I'm just going to give my friend over here a sharp stick and pick up another one and also modify it to carry it around. So now we are armed and ready to go. So let's move out here. So what we're basically looking for now would be anything that's useful for us. Now, of course, we actually would prefer getting a female, but one thing we can now do is use the stick that we now have. First, we can inspect this, because at this point in time, everything is still new, which is why we are also carrying around all our babies, so that we get more neuronal energy and can unlock some skills more quickly. So we now have a liftable rock over here, which is awesome. It means now that we have developed the stick and we have inspected this, we can try to lift it. And there we go, we have lifted it, we have found some mushrooms over there. And in the process of doing this, we have also unlocked some neuronal energy, basically because we are using this stick as a tool. There we go, unlock some more neuronal energy, and we get an evolution feat. Evolution feat we'll get to later in the game, which basically just gives us the opportunity to advance further in time. Okay, so this is where we are going to go in a little bit. But unfortunately, I see it is quite late already. Our hominid here is quite tired, so first we're going to take a bit of a nap. We'll be back in a moment. Okay, it is now nice and early. Our hominid is a little bit awake, but we have also unlocked some skills over here. So at the bottom here we have unlocked What have we unlocked? The ability to gather all the clan members. So this is amazing. This allows us now to, with a click of a button, get all the other hominids to follow us. And at the top here, we now also have the ability to move the item from one hand to the other while we are moving. We don't have to stand still to switch hands. Oh, and another little ability over here. These are just the basic ones. As we go along, I'm not going to carry on telling you about everything we unlock, but we now have the ability to also drop an item. So the way the skill tree here progresses, I mean, you first have to be able to switch hands. And this sounds quite simple, but it is something we need to learn in the game first. Then you need the ability to do it while you are moving, and then you develop the ability to drop an item while you are moving. And then as we go along, we're going to have far more intricate things that we learn. So that's basically the skill tree of this game. Now, we at the moment are going to be switching hands while we're moving, which is great. We now are at the bottom here, and essentially you can see we've got our green circle being quite small and a lot of red circle. Basically, that's our life bar. If it reaches 0, we die. And it's based on hunger, thirst, and also sleep. You need to get enough rest in order to actually stay alive. Now, we are going to inspect this mushroom that we've got at the log here. Now, mushrooms, initially at least, will give you food poisoning. So I don't want the rest of my clan to actually go and eat it. So I am going to very quickly eat this. It says Afrae agaricus, which is, as I've said, not accurate Latin. What you should have would be Agaricus africana. That is the term they should have been using for this mushroom, but we are eating it, and in the process we are getting an upset stomach. We're actually a bit of immunity against food poisoning now, but we've got an upset stomach because it is something we haven't eaten before. Oh, and our hominid here hasn't seen clean water before, so we first have to inspect this as well. And now we can drink some water as well. And notice, as we're drinking water, we've got a yellow circle filling up the center part there. The green circle expands, and that's because as we drink, now obviously our thirst meter to some extent is being filled up, and we have slept enough, we have eaten a bit, we're now drinking, and eventually we're basically going to get our entire bar filled up. And that's basically your health bar. That's the only indication you have of how healthy you are. So you've got to know whether your hominid has eaten recently or hasn't eaten or drunk recently. We're also going to just grab some berries if we have it here. Yes, we have. And we are just going to eat this as well. Okay, I think our bar is basically filled up, which is great. And all our hominids are following our example by eating some of the berries. And now we are ready to head out a bit. Now, let's have a look. Let's see if we can perhaps see or hear a female hominid up in the trees somewhere. Calling and calling and calling, but we can't seem to hear her. Unfortunately, it seems we may not be able to actually have all the babies we want. It's quite sad. Hey guys, we are up here in the forest, and this really dropped down way down below. In any case, this really is one of the best parts to me of the game, is exploring the forest. And you can see here, we've got the entire structure of the forest. What we currently are in would be the canopy layer of the forest. So this is a continuous part of the forest made up of the tops of most of the trees. However, you also have some trees which will go and rise above the canopy, or they emerge above the canopy, and we call that layer the emergent layer. So these are now trees. You can see that one over let's see, some of them should be emerging a little bit more. If we have a look around, basically we are in the emergent layer at the moment. We are above the canopy, which is right over here. Whee! So this game can be quite stressful if you haven't gotten used to the swinging mechanism. But we are just going to be swinging from tree to tree. And let's have a look up here. If we climb this one, we are going to be at the tallest point in this area. So these trees are known as kapok trees. Now, kapok is a Malay word, so it means, well, it's basically a form of cotton. They refer to these trees as kapok trees, which they used to use as a fiber for clothing. And you'll see how in a moment. Let's see if we can get the some of the seed pods. If I can spot any. Good, let's have it. There's one. And I'm gonna die. Okay, well that's unfortunate. Right, so now that really is unfortunate, and this little hominid over here is now also quite scared, illustrated by the grey screen. Now what we need to do is find a way to head back to our base camp and then basically try again. Okay, our sleeping spot is over there. I was just saying it can be quite challenging if you're not used to the swinging mechanism, and then I kind of just drop down. Oh, and this one has broken his legs. Not a good day for the hominid family, for the Homo naturae family, but we are carrying on. We are limping on at the moment. Unfortunately, it means that 2 of our babies are now lost. Okay, so what we now have to do is try to identify as many things as we possibly can to break our fear of the unknown. So this is very similar. If you are out in the wild and you are unfamiliar with things, there we don't know what that is yet. Don't know what that is yet. But you look around for things that you do recognize. And when you then recognize those things, it's not quite as scary as it used to be. So that's basically what we are doing here now. Fortunately, we haven't been able to really... We don't know what these rocks are, for example, so let's quickly inspect them. That should be either basalt or granite. Okay, it's granite. Okay, so now if we actually look around while we are scared, now that we have seen granite, and we move into the unknown section here, we should now be able to identify that that is actually something we know. And filling up on the left-hand side there, it fills up our meter of rationalization. So how much we have rationalized the environment that we are in. And once that is full, we are then able to actually conquer our fear of this part of the world. Almost there. Okay, we have now rationalized this area, which means we are no longer scared of it. And we can now go and conquer our fear in that part over there. Let's head there. Fortunately, our 2 babies are still scared or missing. Let's, while we are here, conquer our fear. And now we have expanded the home range that our hominids can move in without being scared, which is quite awesome. Let's see if we can actually hear our babies. I also need to find out where my dead ape is. Okay, but what I wanted to show you was actually this over here. So when I was so rudely interrupted by death, was this thing here. So this fluffy pod over here is actually the seed pod, or the pod that has opened up, of the kapok trees, these big trees that we are in. Now, these pods here that we can use it quite nicely to stop bleeding and also to protect ourselves from bleeding. But this is it's very, very difficult, but you can use it to actually make a type of fiber for basically cotton, or very similar to cotton. So that's what it was used for in clothing. It was actually used in life jackets as well for quite a bit, because it floats. It's very buoyant, which obviously is a useful thing to have if you are making life jackets. So that's one use that they had for the kapok fibers. but basically made a very, very nice cotton. We're just going to go back to our camp now, or our settlement. We're calling it a camp. It's basically a settlement. It's just the area that our hominids are living in. We're going to go collect another adult, and then we're going to come back and come and look for the kids. We're going to come and look and see if we can find our 2 babies, which are currently probably in danger. We don't want predators to find them and eat them, and they can. They can potentially, of course, die. Now, usually that would be more of a threat if I was actually killed by a predator, and that predator would still be in the area. But of course, there is the chance that there is a predator in the vicinity. Okay, so expedition baby finding, or find the babies, is a go. While we're at it, we might as well now look for 2 new members to actually put in our special club of hominids, since we have now lost, well, 1, and we still were short 1 as well. I wonder where on earth was I? I think I was a little bit more to this side. Now, I at the moment don't have a stick. I just have my sharp stone, which is, you know, it's better than nothing, but it is not the best thing to try and have to defend yourself with. Let's see, anything we can hear. We've got R1 over here making noises, yes, but still can't hear the babies. Our vision is getting foggy because we're getting a little bit tired as well. But we have to find the children. Then we can call it a day. Now, of course, hominids, and well, primates overall, are of course very, very social creatures. They are in relatively tight-knit families. Now, it's not necessarily likely that the adults would actually go and look for their babies in the way that we're doing in this game, but there we go, I think we found them. But we are basically going to be doing this. We are a little bit more advanced. Oh, we are in, there's danger somewhere. Oh, there was a green mamba. Oh, there it is. Oh, look at the green mamba. Dendroaspis angusticeps, and a giant warthog, basically. I can't remember, something curus. Metrocurus, I think is the genus name of the giant warthog. But basically, in the game, you can have all these type of encounters of one species encountering another, and then they can either kill, or in this case, just intimidate one another and not actually kill any other individual. But we are now just going to be picking up the females, or the babies here, and switching back to our adult female over here. So finally we have managed to get the babies, which means we can now go back to our camp, or our settlement, which is right over there. Hopefully not die in the process of getting there. And let's see if we can also encounter anything else. Okay, so I'm just going to jump to the big tree over here. This will give us quite a nice little jumping pad to leap off from. Now, of course, there are advantages to being up in the trees. It means that you have further to fall, which can be good, because it means that you have a greater chance of catching the leaves. Unless, of course, like I did, you just kind of miss all the leaves, and then when you do hit the ground, you die, which is not preferable. Now, let's see. Yo, almost missed it again, but we made it. Let's swing to this side here. I'm a little bit more skittish of the jumping now. I used to be very, 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 very agile, or very, very keen to jump everywhere. Now, of course, now that I've actually killed one of my hominids, not that keen. But we basically made it back to camp, and as you can see on the right-hand side there, our neuronal energy is actually filled up, which means we should be able to get quite a few useful skills now. So I'm just going to develop the pathways and inform you if there was anything interesting. Okay, so there wasn't really anything that useful for us. There is one thing we should be doing just quickly, and that is to actually discover the landmark that we are at. So we are at the Hidden Waterfall Oasis. The oases just being areas where there are lots and lots of food and water, and a good place to actually settle. And yeah, so in this case, I do believe once we have done this, something is going to happen. So let's have a look. Really beautiful area there. I must say, I must compliment the guys that made this. The developers really did a marvelous job at creating an amazing, beautiful landscape. Oh, something scary is happening. There is something falling from the sky. And it's a meteorite that now has officially hit the forest. So up until this point, there wasn't one in the forest. Now that we actually have discovered the hidden waterfall oasis, you can see the smoke rising from there. And we, next time, will have to go and have a look and see if we can find that meteorite. And that's then where we are going to end today's session with a nice view of the forest. So thank you so much for joining me on today's little adventure. We have lost one of our hominids, but we are hopefully going to get some new ones next time. So tune in next time to see where we progress from here and what organisms and landscapes we may encounter in the next episode of An Ecologist Plays. Until then, stay safe, and I will see you soon.